I'm Chris. That's Ron. And Ohio State just took care of business again. They did not need a 30-point comeback to defeat a not very good team in the second half because they were dominant from start to finish. And really, most of the storylines were who the young players were that shined, as well as some of the injuries going on. That's my co-host, Ron James. Ron, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. That's good news for Buckeyes fans, bad news for people that won a Heisman Trophy in Columbus, Chris. But you know the best thing about being 10-0.
The chance to go 11-0. And dude, I say it every week, but it's flying, man. It's flying.
I always talk about making sure you're appreciating even these games that aren't the most exciting because the college football season is the greatest sporting season of the year and it goes by the fastest. You have to enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, 100% agree. You know what's unique, Ron, about this sport, this time of year in particular, this time of the year is all about making it out of somewhere clean. You want to get in, make it out clean. What that means is two things. It really just it means, first of all, you want to come up with a win. That's the most important thing. And then second thing, you want to come out healthy. Obviously, Ohio State, wet field, this time of year, you're going to get guys kind of beat up. But you look across the country, and there was a lot of very, very tight games, a lot of scares. I mean, in a weekend where, Bama ends up, with their second loss, in a weekend where, A&M finds themselves down 30 against 3-7 South Carolina team, in a weekend where Michigan is up against the wire against Northwestern, like it feels really good to know that we get to turn on the Ohio State Buckeyes and watch them approach every game, nameless, faceless, we're going to go be dominant. And it shows. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, haven't played anybody. Oh, this, that, and the third, whatever. It's like, well, we've seen a bunch of teams across college football that haven't played anybody and they're all struggling. So I won't let anybody else take away kind of how I enjoy this team, especially this year. A lot of things got checked off boxes, this game in particular. And again, it's just nice that I know that my team will show up every day and dominate. And that's a really nice feeling that not a lot of other teams in the country can say.
Absolutely. And you talk about checking boxes. The Buckeyes have been waiting to check one of these boxes for 15 years. The Buckeyes finally get their first kickoff return in 15 years since Jordan Hall did it back in 2010.
And yeah, wild. Watching it was so funny because, of course, the thing about the Ohio State fan base is that, when something goes wrong, it's like the end of the world, right? And you're starting to get a little bit of the bummer meltdown. Okay, we gave up a touchdown because you expect it to be super clean and you want it to be perfect. And then you're UCLA, you can't even celebrate the touchdown. Or if you're someone that's a Debbie Downer Ohio State fan, you can't even be upset about the touchdown because before you know it, boom, you get 6. And it's funny because this is going to be a kind of a crazy, I guess, trivia question 20 years from now. Who broke the drought in terms of a touchdown return for a touchdown? So it was cool to see Lorenzo Stiles do it. It's also cool because of the family legacy. It's also cool because he's kind of one of the unsung guys in this team, but some of the DBs talking about he's the most confident guy on the team. But it did feel cool seeing the good old kick return touchdown.
Absolutely. We've been hearing about Lorenzo Stiles' speed since he got here. We almost got the punt return with the throwback from Brandon Ennis, and I had everybody blown on my phone like, I thought you said he was the fastest guy on the team. Well, a little bit of redemption there for Lorenzo Stiles and finds his way into the end zone. And a great story. We talk all the time about how Buckeyes paths aren't linear at Ohio State, and
Right.
a guy that started at Notre Dame as a receiver, and now he's the nickel cornerback on a team that's looking to potentially repeat. He contributed on a national championship team last year, and you see him getting involved in the special teams game. I don't know when he left Notre Dame how many touchdowns he anticipated scoring in college football after that moment. To see him have that was special. And those are the little footnote moments throughout the season that you remember of throughout this national championship run, the Buckeyes did find ways to check boxes and exercise some demons, especially we got the punt return out of the way last year at Indiana with Caleb Downs, and this year we're able to end the kick return drought. So that was a nice thing to see.
Yeah, it is really cool. And look, the long season, obviously this team's been dominant and kind of you've had to look for other storylines within the season. And this is kind of one of those things. But one of the other storylines that I want to hit, I want to talk about the run game. And one guy in particular, Bo Jackson. I mean, obviously, he's RB1. He's getting a lion's share of the carries. He looked really, really good today. average of 7.5 yards per carry, at a long of 32, 112 total. It looked efficient. His cutbacks looked incredible. His patience looked elite. I was very, very impressed with Bo Jackson today, and it feels like the home stretch, the coaching staff knows, hey, look, our best back is Bo Jackson. He needs to touch the ball.
Absolutely. You see Bo Jackson get another 100-yard game. And this was one of those games where you wanted to see this offense come out and be able to find ways to run the ball, especially with Carnell Tate not in the game, Jeremiah Smith limited. In the game that probably not the easiest to get excited for the Buckeyes coming off a national championship. They're already 9-0 coming in. They have their eyes on Indiana. They have their eyes on the team up north. And to see the Buckeyes and this entire running back room come out and run hard was great to see. And it speaks to Ryan Day's culture that he has, the fact that he's able to foster competition in a room like this. Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, James Peoples. Again, I feel like I'm saying week in and week out, he's playing his best football as a Buckeye. Each week he's getting better. And to see the Buckeyes not get comfortable with this run game and continue to search for answers and not settle on, I mean, we didn't see Bo Jackson at all in the Texas game to start the season. And to see him now take the lead as the number one back for the Buckeyes, it feels like we've come such a far way of talking about Buckeyes not playing their freshmen to now having two freshmen running back potentially leading this team to a national championship.
And you're right, Ron, and I'll just kind of add to it. They're not going to match the two in numbers the freshman year, but they're going to match the two on on the field impact and talent. I mean, this is the Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton of Ohio State. Remember when those two were freshmen at Penn State? They were really, really good. Everyone saw the talent really early. I mean, I feel like this is our own version of that. Do you think I'm out of bounds with that one? Because that's kind of the feel I get. Because it's like one comes in and the other one comes in. It's like, okay, like same thing. That's the twin in them. A little bit different kind of wiggle, but like same kind of burst. Really tough to bring down. I think Isaiah is a little bit more physical to the point of attack in terms of violence and finishing runs, but Bo's got some of that to him also. Like we're watching two really talented backs, dude.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get stories in a couple of years like we used to get out of the Alabama wide receiver room where they would be arguing in the huddle about who gets the touchdown.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like you're going to have that with Bo Jackson and Isaiah West. Not that they're arguing necessarily, but it's just like friendly banter about who's going to get the next touchdown because they're having so much success. And I think the play from them has really elevated the play. A guy that I want to give him his flowers. I made the joke on the show earlier in this week. I was the first person to jump off of James Peoples Island. I did it probably the third drive of the season. I said, I'm not sure this is it. Well, I said during the show this past week, throw me a life jacket because I'm swimming back. The way that he's been running these past couple weeks, you could see a game like this coming. And then he has the highlight play to remind everybody why he was thought to be the presumed starter this year. When he's out here hurdling guys for touchdowns, James Peoples puts 2 touchdowns on the board. And for an Ohio State running game that had plenty of questions, to see them run for 222 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns, it's good to see. I know UCLA isn't the greatest Big Ten opponent, but at the end of the day, it's a Big Ten opponent.
Right.
We watched this team beat Penn State with 2 elite running backs.
The 2 elite running backs. No, you're right. I mean, like Bo, Bo is fantastic. Isaiah is fantastic. Peoples is kind of like running third right now, but you see the athleticism. And he looked really good. It was definitely the highlight play. But Isaiah West to me today, like 7.6 yards per carry and had the long 38-yarder. Like it feels like, the 10 to 20 from him feels different than everybody else maybe on the roster, I think. I don't want to get too carried away, but like the 10 to 20, doesn't it feel really different, man?
It doesn't. It's not like Chris Johnson breakaway, like
right.
Travion speed, but it's like you don't want to see him in space one-on-one with a safety because he's going to run past him. And he's definitely running past linebackers. So it's a guy that adds a level of explosion that I would think after week 1, most Buckeye fans didn't think this offense possessed. And we've talked year in and year out about the explosion that Travion Henderson added to this offense and how many times he was able to bail out the Buckeyes with big plays, whether it's Minnesota, Notre Dame, Texas, constantly coming up with the big play. And you're starting to see explosive plays in the run game from this Buckeye team. And that should be scary for the nation watching.
100%. And like with him in particular, he doesn't look like it doesn't look like that kind of burst that you just mentioned, right? Like we both agree with that. But then you see safeties and linebackers taking horrible angles, like he's outrunning them like crazy. And he's not as tall as Terrell Pryor, but it reminds me like when Terrell Pryor was like running downfield, people were taking horrible angles, but he didn't look that fast. And then you hear people talk about like, he kind of gets on you really quick. That's what it looks like a little bit with him. And I don't want to get carried away, obviously, because we're talking about him coming off the heels of some NFL backs, but he looks and feels the part, man. I was really impressed by him. And then additionally, want to give him a note. Pass pro. His pass pro was good today. It was good.
Absolutely. And that's what we heard a ton about early in the season about why the younger backs weren't playing, is that they needed to trust them in the pass pro. And I'm like, I guess so. We're not losing games and we're finding ways to win. And Julian Sayin is saying upright. You have to give this coaching staff credit because they have been ahead of everyone every step of the way as far as the development of this team, whether it's been getting, Devin Sanchez on the field early in the season. You see Riley Pettijohn, Peyton Pierce all finding ways to contribute, the rotation on the offensive line. You're seeing the younger guys at wide receiver starting to play. And it feels like, the Buckeyes have a plan and they're sticking to it and they're doing it with success.
Yeah, they are. And again, like, it felt like Julian Sayin stayed pretty clean today, and part of the upright is kind of the offensive line. Another part of it is the running backs. I do want to give someone some love today. Gabe Van Sickle played today. Played really well. I mean, at least like on TV copy, it looked really well. I mean, the run game got going, and Julian Sayin took some hits early, but other than that, like I thought Gabe Van Sickle played pretty nice.
The biggest question mark on this team has been the right guard position. We have now seen Ethan Onyewa play there. We've seen Tegra Shabola.
Yeah,
We've
Josh
seen
Padilla.
Gabe Van Sickle. We've seen Josh Padilla. Everybody has gotten a shot at this position, and it feels like, again, we talked about it with the running back position. They're fostering competition. They're not settling. We're not seeing any politics. We're not seeing, this guy makes more than this guy in NIL. This guy's been here longer. The Buckeyes are playing the best player, and I think that's a great message to send to recruits, especially on a weekend where the Buckeyes have 30-plus recruits in attendance for this game between commits and current targets. A huge recruiting weekend for the Buckeyes, and they go out there and have a dominant win and also get a lot of young guys on the field. I made the joke, every time I see Fahim Delane make a play on defense, my heart skips a beat for a second because I'm like, what's Julian Sayin doing on defense?
Yeah, he made that. He's made that big tackle on third down to force a fourth down. He looked the part. I do want to talk about Brandon Inniss and the receiver room. We're going to talk about them for a little bit. Dude, BI catches everything, man, and it's not a ton of yards. It's not super flashy, but he's the ultimate security blanket and kind of becoming that, and they're going to need it moving forward. Like nobody right now knows the status on Jeremiah or Carnell Tate. I guess I'll share what I've heard on Carnell Tate, that they're worried about maybe an Achilles injury, got some calf stuff that he's working through, some discomfort, and they're just going to take it slow and proceed with caution because it was going to be wet, rainy at the turf, obviously. But if he needed to play, he would be out there. And Jeremiah Smith obviously had the limp that kind of went viral a little bit during the game. But with that being said, it's like this room is stacked, this room is deep, and Brandon Inniss has to be the steady heartbeat of this room. And you see him out there. He catches everything, Ron, and he might be the perfect match for Julian Sayin because he does catch everything. Now, it was only 30 yards, 6 catches, but it felt like a loud 30 yards, and it felt like whenever Julian Sayin needed him in a spot, he was there. So I was really impressed by him. Plays like a leader, catches everything, don't worry about the drops, and seems to be hyper efficient at times. So this receiver room is going to look a little bit different for the next couple of weeks, but, I have confidence because of kind of the rock presence he brings, similarly to a guy like KJ Hill, so I comp him to, at least right now. But we do know at some point he will start hitting doubles and home runs, but right now it's kind of the KJ Hill, let me hit some singles.
Absolutely. He showed that he could be that security blanket, leading the team in receptions today in the absence of Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith in the second half specifically. And just a guy that has been questioned about whether or not he should be in that role. And you see a lot of other guys get an opportunity. Bryson Rogers got an opportunity today. You saw Mylan Graham get a lot of opportunities, Quincy Porter, and it's great to see those guys get some burn. But you also, I feel like, see why Brandon Inniss has earned and maintained that spot, the physicality, the leadership that he brings, and the confidence that they have in his hands. We've heard questions about all of the guys that are behind Brandon Inniss and the rest of the starting wide receivers. It's been questions about their hands and ball security, and they don't have that question about Brandon Inniss. So to see him go out there and in a game where they needed a wide receiver to step up and be able to lead the team in receptions, it may not have been the It may not have been the most receiving yards, but at the end of the day, the Buckeyes went out there and won 48-10. Is it about stats or is it about the win? So the Buckeyes find a way to win without some of their top players, not just their top players, but the top players in the country. And to know that you have a room full of 5 stars, it's like, oh, Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate are out. Who are going to play? I don't know, a 5-star named Quincy Porter, a 5-star named Mylan Graham, Brandon Ennis, the only 5-star in the 2023 class in the Big Ten. He's going to get some run. So it's like the Buckeyes are so spoiled at this wide receiver position. And like he said, they're playing it cautious with Carnell Tate. And that's exactly the way you need to do it, especially when you're out here dominating teams 48-10.
Yeah, dude, and like about a quarter to this game, Ron. I don't know if you felt it, but it felt like one of those games where like the longer guys are in there, the more guys are going to get hurt. There was, a couple late tackles, guys go to the ground that don't need to go to the ground. Obviously, like the wet conditions don't help. It just felt like the longer this went on, it was going to be one of those games. It's like, okay, like yeah, we won big, but at what cost? Obviously, Julian Sayin, took a trip to the medical tent. Obviously, we know Jeremiah Smith took a trip to the medical tent. I mean, a bunch of guys were in and out of that medical tent. Because first of all, it's late in the year. Like we just passed week 12. And then secondly, it's like wet conditions and that kind of thing can happen. I do want to talk about Julian Sayin because Julian Sayin, 9 guys caught passes today, dude. That doesn't happen at Ohio State. This is very much your point guard. This is very much your Chris Paul. This is very much like your ultimate distributor. This is very much Drew Brees like. Okay, Jeremiah Smith isn't in the game. Okay, Carnell Tate's not in the game. I'm still Julian Sayin. I'm still the ultimate point guard. I'm going to get 9 guys catches, and I'm going to get, I think, 10 guys targets. And how many times this year? Because I'll have to look, but I feel like every time this year, or a lot this year, you go through a whole first quarter, and Julian Sayin has 0 incompletions. That's not normal. That's not normal. Like, you're not supposed to be like, oh, Julian Sayin's still perfect. Oh, Julian Sayin's still perfect. Again, at least 3 times off the top of my head. He would make it to the second quarter, midway through the second quarter before Julian Sayin had an incompletion. That's not normal. And you can only do that if you're spreading the ball around, which is what he was doing. So, look, man, this is the best quarterback in America. And really, it's not even close. You look what Ty Simpson did today. He did not look very good. I mean, you look at what Arch Manning did, obviously didn't look very good. I mean, other than Dante Moore, maybe the Big Ten has the best quarterbacks. And he's the cream of the crop. Like, I don't know what to say anymore because it's like, okay, like, look, well, he's got Jeremiah Smith. Okay, we'll take him away. Oh, well, what about Carnell Tate? We'll take him away. What's he going to go do? Be hyper efficient.
He finds a way to get the ball to 9 different receivers today, and it just felt like he was wheeling and dealing out there. And even without Jeremiah Smith, Julian Sayin finds a way to get it done. He's setting a record, has a record-setting pace as far as completion percentage, and could potentially flirt with history as the greatest completion percentage we've seen in a single season. Not his most efficient game today against UCLA, but I mean, he's playing in the rain. He's playing without his top 2 receivers. And I feel like for a lot of the Heisman candidacy critics out there would probably say, oh, well, he looks kind of mortal without Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. Well, it's like, well, those are his teammates. I don't know why we keep trying to come up with this new criteria of what he has to look like without these receivers. He goes out there, finds a way to get it done, doesn't turn the ball over. And I think that was probably the most impressive thing, is that we've watched him force it at times, and I feel like his interceptions this season have been him not wanting to give up on a play. And I think he would be tempted to force it more without a Jeremiah Smith today, and he did a good job of protecting the ball and taking what was given to him. You didn't see him force the ball downfield. You saw a couple checkdowns where Julian Sayin took the long drop and he's looking downfield and ultimately just checks it down. And you even heard it on the broadcast. Some of these guys aren't getting open the same way as Carnell Tate does, and that's fine. And the fact that he doesn't just chuck it up into danger because, oh, Carnell does it, so let's throw it to any receiver like that, I think that shows maturity and growth from a young quarterback.
100%. And like for people that only threw for 186, well, he only had 8 incompletions in like slop weather and like in the rain, slick ball without his top 2 targets in similar conditions a couple weeks ago. Do you want to guess what Dante Moore did?
I have no idea.
9 for 15 for 86 yards.
It's not
hard going. That's what makes winning in the Big Ten this month hard. It's hard.
Absolutely. People underestimate the conditions and what it takes to win in November, and nothing is a guarantee. And you've watched this UCLA team go out there and challenge teams that they shouldn't really have any business in the game with. Chris, it feels like we got a little bit robbed of our playoff rematch. We thought we'd have an opportunity to see Nico Iamaleava make his return to Ohio Stadium after having 2 helmets cracked last time he visited Ohio. How much do you feel like that took out of the game? Or do you think the Buckeyes still had to come out and prepare for a quarterback that I think, having not attempted a pass all season, I thought Luke Duncan played decent.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he probably gave you 90% statistically of what I would have expected from Nico. I mean, like we saw Nico a year ago in the Tennessee offense with a better surrounding cast. We saw how that looked. I mean, obviously, like, Nico, good player, lots of talent, but I tweeted earlier today that, like, I wouldn't have played against Ohio State again either. Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm cool on it. If my team had Ohio State on the schedule, I would duck them. If I was on the team with Ohio State on the schedule, I would duck them also. Not saying he ducked them, but it's like, okay, like I get it, in terms of, like, wanted to take things cautious against Ohio State. So I thought that, like, the same version of UCLA was going to be with or without Nico, and the Duncan kid took some shots, man. He took that shot to the ribcage from Riley Pettijohn, and I felt it. He's going to have a Riley Pettijohn shaped bruise right there.
A Riley Pettijohn tattoo on his ribs. Chris, I wanted to ask about this defense. It feels like there's been questions about this team all season, and they're constantly moving the goalpost as far as ways to critique this Buckeye team. Initially preseason, it was the interior, the defensive line. It feels like the Buckeyes are getting healthy there and finding depth, playing some of their best ball at that position. You're seeing the running back room round into form. The right guard rotation is still going on. It seems like the only remaining question about this team is, can they hold up against a strong arm quarterback that's able to attack the seams? And when you look at the rest of the Buckeyes schedule, it doesn't seem like they're maybe going to face that before the playoffs. I mean, I know that Bryce Underwood has a strong arm. The attack the seams part, not so much. So Chris, I want to know, do you have any concerns with, this defense maybe not necessarily seeing the type of quarterback talent that they're going to face in the postseason? And even if Arch Manning in Texas finds a way to sneak in, the Arch Manning that the Buckeyes saw week 1 isn't the same Arch Manning that we're watching lose to Georgia right now.
I think there's only one or two quarterbacks in the country that attack every quadrant of the field, and that's kind of what we're talking about here, right? Like, there are, like, a group of, like, 3 teams that put a lot of pressure on every quadrant of the field, and the seams is kind of the one part that Ohio State struggled with a little bit. And I don't know if that's more of a game plan thing. It's like, okay, we haven't seen this quarterback attack this, so we're just gonna make them, like, basically, like, here we go. Before I guard you on a 3-point shot, you got to hit at least 3. That's the rule, because I'm not going to burn myself out if you can't hit threes. And it's like, is that what's happening? Or, like, is there actually a deficiency there? Because I don't think there is. I mean, the one I keep going back to, like the Grunk one a couple weeks ago, that was a seam shot, which was a ridiculously layered throw. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, if you can make that throw 10 times in a game, awesome. Like, you got our number. But looking around the country, like, it feels like outside of Ohio State, maybe it's a down year. Quarterback wise, like, how many quarterbacks can hit every quadrant of the field consistently? I think it's maybe Dante
3?
Moore, Fernando Mendoza,
Julian Sayin. That's
Julian
it.
Sayin.
That's the list.
The cool thing, it's like the Derrick Henry Heisman. When Derrick Henry was running, like, just destroying all these teams, and they were, doing their thing. The one thing was, like, everybody was a Heisman favorite when they went to go play Bama, had to play the Bama defense, and then all of a sudden not a Heisman favorite. It's like, what was the Heisman moment for Derrick Henry? Oh, it was his defense shutting down everybody. So
are you saying this Buckeye defense is going to be the buzzsaw to put an end to the Fernando Mendoza Heisman campaign?
It is, and they're lucky that, like, Dante Moore already, had that come to an end. But in terms of, like, what the defense down the seams, like, look, I don't think many teams will challenge down the seams. I think if they do, yes, they can hit some splash plays here or there. But Ron, let me ask you, how many quarterbacks do you think feel comfortable going to the well of the seams when you've got Caleb Downs patrolling back there and McLean patrolling back there? It'll be tough down the stretch.
Probably only Fernando Mendoza, because for some reason his coach always laughs when he throws an interception.
Dude, he made me giggle, man. When he said against Oregon, he went over there and said, "Are you having fun yet?" It's like, it's the fourth quarter, but that's a pick 6.
Yeah, man. It feels like the Buckeyes are one game away from really getting their season started. The Buckeyes have Rutgers next week, and then what every Buckeye fan has been waiting for, it seems like, for the past 4 years now.
Yeah.
The third Saturday in November, the Buckeyes finally get the redemption against the team up north. Chris, looking around college football today and given the performance that you saw the Buckeyes have, my biggest question coming into this game was not, can the Buckeyes win? Obviously, they were going to come out and handle business, but did they do it with an intention to detail and a want to today? Like, was Ryan Day able to motivate his team to come out and play on a Saturday night in the rain against a UCLA team that has one Big Ten win? Yeah. And to see the Buckeyes come out and dominate and look physical and look like the number one team in the country week in and week out, Ryan Day has a juggernaut of an organization going at Ohio State right now. I said I don't call it a program anymore because he's running it like an NFL organization. And you heard the questions all throughout the week, like, are we done seeing dynasties in college football? There's just so much parity. And it's like, no, you just refuse to look it in the face.
Yeah, I mean, you can pretend like it's not there, but it's here. One of the things that I do think is awesome about this Ohio State team is they keep guys engaged on the two deep, and they recruit really well. And when that happens, you get guys that you can play that are better than the other team's ones, right? It's like, okay, like, we're gonna play you, go A to B as fast as possible. There's no sleepwalking, because if you're a backup, you're playing for playing time right now. And our playing for playing time is like better than other team starters right now. So that's kind of where we're at, because we've been able to build depth. To be able to put Riley Pettijohn out there in the first quarter, incredible. Like to do that for a quick glimpse of time is everything. Like D-line wise, like to be able to like go throw guys out there because they'll play hard. To be able to play Peyton Pierce a lot of snaps early, because he's technically a third starting linebacker, but he really is not a starter, and you're going to get his very best. Like, I mean, the fact that we're so deep everywhere, and Ryan Day this year is more willing to play a lot of guys, is really important. And it shows. I mean, this is a talented, deep team, and it's funny because it doesn't feel like there's any other deep teams.
No, it doesn't feel like there are any other teams nearly as talented as the Buckeyes, and I felt like it showed today in special teams. Not only did the Buckeyes get a kick return, they blocked a punt, and it's like, it feels like...
Okay, wait a second, pause. Do you count that as a block punt?
I mean, I guess. Why not?
He kicked it like right into his
No, that counts. And I feel like it's an official, like...
that is an inside the park home run.
You know how they have the saying in the NBA finals, like, the finals really haven't started until someone wins a game on the road. And it's like, it's not an Ohio State season until we block a punt. And the Buckeyes go out there and get their punt block. And it's officially November. The Buckeyes are rolling so much that we actually have special team plays to get excited about. And I couldn't tell you the last time that it felt like we had a special teams game like this. No missed field goals.
Well, I was going to say, Ron, is this the best special teams game in the Ryan Day era?
It has to be. It has to be. No missed field goals. For a touchdown.
You hit
6 extra points made.
Mm-hmm.
Easily the greatest special teams game. We might have to hang a banner for that one.
I mean, Ron, think about it. You got a 50-yard punt. You got a 40-yard field goal. You got a blocked punt. And you have a kick return for a touchdown that's 100 yards. First 100-yard kick return for a touchdown to Ted Ginn Jr. This has to be it, because this is probably the best special teams game at Ohio State since the 2018 game when Chris Olave blocked the punt.
It has to be,
right?
It feels like we've been complaining about special teams for the entire Ryan Day era. So
yeah,
easily, I feel comfortable giving this to Ryan Day as his best special teams performance. Chris, one thing that I wanted to hit on right before we got out of here, I'm looking at the sack totals, and the Buckeyes had 0 sacks this game. It was a question that we asked a ton last year about, is this scheme or is this just lack of production? It felt like the defensive line was dominant. I watched Kenyatta Jackson ragdoll multiple people today. Are we going to get to the college football playoffs and surprise everybody again, where Jack and JTT decide to get more sacks in the playoffs than they did during the regular season, and we see this defensive line turn up? Because that is one of the few criticisms that you hear about this Buckeye team remaining, about their ability to get pressure with 4. And my question is, do they even actually have to get pressure with 4 with how good this secondary is? It seems like they can afford to bring an extra man.
Well, it's so funny because like their overall pressure rates with 4 is like I believe is number 1 in the country, which is weird. But the issue is that like a lot of times like we get pressure, but we don't get home. And this game in particular, like I think the broadcast said like Luke Duncan had only like 3 or 4 incompletions, but like only had like 21 yards. And it's like, okay, like you're just trying to get this ball out as quick as possible. I do think when we face teams with more arrogance on their offensive line, we will get a lot of sacks because that's what happened, right? What happened was teams were like, okay, like, yeah, it's Ohio State, but they don't really have the sack numbers. So we are going to drop back and then go from there. And then it's like, oh, you guys are going to drop back. Our Big Ten brethren don't drop back. They just go quick, 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 quick. If you're going to drop back because you don't think we get sacks, then let's really get after it. That's kind of what happens in the NFL too. Because it's like, okay, we pay our left tackle all this money. We're going to do our 4-step dropbacks. And so I think that this is shaking up and setting up to be kind of the don't stick your hand in that hole. A snake might bit you. And that snake is Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry in the playoffs.
Absolutely. People are playing with fire if they think that the Buckeyes, when it comes time to dial it up, won't find a way to get home. Chris, that's all I have. The Buckeyes continue to roll. They are 10-0. They get it done over UCLA 48-10. You know how this thing ends. It's always go Bucks. And of course, OH.
I